Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 19 of the Mitch and Alex Show, sponsored by Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance. He's Mitch.
Am I?
I'm Alex. And we are the Mitch and Alex Show. What a episode we have for the people today, Mitch. Do we? We're talking about All-Star in 2022, but not only that, Christmas Carnage is this weekend.
That's right.
This Saturday, live at the iconic Pad Suara Cell Club, Mitch.
I'm excited. I am pumped.
Santa Claus is going to be in the building.
He was there last year.
He was.
Do you remember what happened last year, Box?
Yeah, he got his ass kicked by Johnny Starr.
It was very sad. You never like to see Santa get his ass kicked.
Nah, Santa's he's a lovely fella.
Yeah, I heard he ran out of lollies.
He did. I didn't even get one from Santa. I was disappointed.
You're on the wrong side.
Yeah, I was on the naughty list. Yeah, so last week we talked about the half year that was 2021.
Yeah, it was a disappointing year, 2021.
Yeah, but 2022, it was the year I joined the All-Star fandom. I've been at every single All-Star show since the Night to Remember 3.
Every single pad star.
Yeah. But every single show this year from April, I think. Like, I've been at every single show.
Me too.
You've missed like 2 All-Star shows, haven't you?
Nah, never missed an All-Star show. I did miss a Yo Loco.
Right.
Yeah. Which we can go into. That happened in 2022. I ran the show from home.
Right. Firstly,
move back a little bit.
Sorry, am I too close? There we go. How's your week, Mitch?
It's been busy.
Busy?
Show week is always busy.
Yeah, it's a stressful week, but it's an exciting week.
It is, yeah. And then we've got training, of course, as well. So, and also we're still organizing events for 2024.
Yeah, I think I did some calculations. 18 currently booked.
It's crazy.
Yeah. All of those on www.allstarwrestlingaustralia.com.au/upcoming
events.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. David Bullock is here as always. How are you, David Bullock? Good to see you.
Always a supporter of the pod.
Mr. Drunk Monkey. Hey, yo. How are you, cameraman?
Hey, yo.
Mr. Hardy Productions. Hi, boys.
Hello.
Can we just quickly, before, hold on. We've got some more. Here we go. I'm having Nam. I'm having Nam flashbacks about your local.
Vietnam,
yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Too Sweet Matty Chew, the lads. How are you, Matty? Before we go into anything, today's a very special day in the All-Star family.
Is it?
It is. I just want to give a quick happy birthday shout out.
Oh, yes.
To my tag team partner, my life partner, my best friend, Dancing Dave. Happy birthday, Dancing Dave. I love you.
Another trip around the sun. That's what they say, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Another trip around the sun. A birthday shout out.
Yeah.
Not a common thing here, so.
No, I think it's the first one we've ever done.
Congratulations, Dancing Dave.
Also, shout out to Deepak.
Jay Sorbet also had a birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jay Sorbet.
Should just do birthday shout outs for the whole 90 minutes.
Should we? Yeah, I can pull up my Facebook.
I had a birthday in April. Happy birthday, Mitch.
Yeah, my birthday was about 3 weeks ago.
Happy birthday, Box. Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Hardy Productions says happy birthday, Dave. See, look at that. Even got the comments going. How old is Dave now? 104.
I don't know anything about Dancing Dave, except that he dances and he's a bit of a dick.
Hey,
sorry.
That's my tag team partner, G.
Hey, he cheats and bends the rules.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, Box.
Hey, you can bend them. He's not breaking them.
No, he's a rule breaker.
No. Hey, as DX once said, you make the rules and we will break them.
You guys are like DX?
Yeah.
All right.
Newcastle comment?
Huh? All right. Box, what has anything been going on in this wrestling world before we go into 2022 All-Star?
I don't know, to be honest with you, Chief. I don't think much has been happening. We saw the main event of 50-year-old Edge versus 50-year-old Christian that we were shitting on in the chat. Yeah, I don't know. Not much has been going on. CM Punk has officially signed with Raw. That's what I saw recently. I want to get your opinion on it. Okay. So CM Punk, when he was with AEW, the whole hubbub happened between him.
I
and
like that
Lily.
you've adopted Habub since I used it in one pod.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The whole hubbub happened. And instead of Tony Khan, I guess, leaning into that and them kind of mending fences enough to go with it as a storyline, Tony Khan created a whole entire show for CM Punk. So they separated.
Yep.
Now, CM Punk is now back in WWE. And his first feud is seemingly Seth Rollins, who CM Punk openly has beef with. Well, Seth Rollins openly has beef with Punk.
Right.
So do you think that it's smart that they're playing into the real life beef and making money off it?
Yeah, you always want to, blur the lines.
I think,
and they probably don't have beef anymore, or if they do, they're both professional enough to put it
that's
aside.
what I mean. I think they're professional enough to know that, look, this is a good opportunity for all of us. Let's put our differences aside, work together, and we don't have to hate each other. Just work together.
It just shows the difference in booking between Tony Khan and whoever's booking WWE now. Triple H, like, because CM Punk come in and he had like a very quick match with Darby Allin, like quick as in it was very quickly built.
Yep.
And then Punk like wrestled a bunch of mid-carders on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And with WWE, they're like, we're just going to give a big match right off the bat and you're going to have to pay for it or be subscribed to our service or whatever.
Yeah.
Smart WWE, AEW, not so much.
Yeah. I got some more comments here. David Bullock says, happy birthday, Dave. Hope you avoided being binned.
He has been binned a couple times.
Twice, yeah. Mr. Drunk Monkey says, worked with Matt and Edge, Brett and Sean. Yeah, that's true. It did.
What did?
Having real life beef.
Oh, yeah.
CM Punk Royal Rumble winner 2024. Yeah, that's what I've got my money on. Punk will win the Rumble.
Oh, fingers crossed.
You're a Punk guy, aren't you?
I like Punk. Yeah.
I like it.
We discovered that only recently that I am a Punk guy.
Yeah, we were talking about top 10 wrestlers or something, and we were talking about, like accomplishments and whatnot. And I think I made a joke, and I said, because you didn't rate Chris Jericho as highly as I did.
That's right. Yeah.
You said, well, what has Jericho accomplished? And I said, well, if you're going by that merit, then CM Punk should be your top 5. And you go, oh, he probably is.
Not top 5.
Oh, top 10.
Yeah, top 10 or 15 of all time.
You put him above Eddie Guerrero?
Yeah, Punk has had a more accomplished career than Eddie, but that's because Eddie prematurely died, though.
Yeah.
So who knows what Eddie would have been up to if he'd been able to wrestle until his mid-40s like Punk has.
Too Sweet Matty Chew says Rollins over Pepsi Phil. Is that what your infatuation with Punk is over? Is it the Pepsi thing?
No.
Because you're a Pepsi guy. You're Pepsi Mitch, Pepsi Phil.
I was a fan of CM Punk before I was a fan of Pepsi, so...
Well, is CM Punk why you got into Pepsi?
Nah. That would be very marky.
That would be. Should we get right into 2022? I think
let's do it. The people are keen because I think most of the people that follow our pod, they kind of got into All Star in 2022. I mean, like you, David Bullock, I think. Shay was 2021, I think, but we kind of got to know him in 2022. I think Mr. Hardy Productions found out about All Star in 2022. So let's dive into it. There's a lot.
Before we do, I just want to preface by saying if there's any connectivity issues, we apologize. Optus has been a bit of a dick lately. So
is it really?
Yeah, for me anyway.
For me, I haven't been having any issues. It's funny.
Oh.
Yeah. Only issue we'll have is if the phone dies and the hotspot is over.
We'll figure it out. Mitch might have to run away and grab the charger.
That's right. I haven't got one here.
Oh, Mr. Hardy Productions says, do you think WWE can make a new Rey Mysterio?
Nah, Rey's too talented to remake him. They already tried that with Sin Cara.
Yeah, well, they're trying it again, I think, with Dragon Lee. Rey Mysterio has been coming out and publicly saying that he sees a lot of his young self in Dragon Lee, and I've seen that a million times.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like
often imitated, never replicated, I guess.
Yeah, you can't redo Rey Mysterio, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like saying, can you redo Shawn Michaels or Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair? They're legends that'll never they'll never be replicated fully.
Yeah, it's hard to look at a certain person like Dolph Ziggler, for example. Everyone says, "Oh, he's just a second-rate Shawn Michaels," like it's like someone being all patriotic and not looking like Hulk Hogan.
It's true.
So we started off 2022. This is my first ever All-Star show as a fan.
Well, there we go.
With Summer Spectacular.
It's just the wind.
The infamous COVID show, which I've touched on.
Yeah, we're gonna go into it.
So the card is as follows. Opener is Goblin Kid defeats Sami Saber.
In a rookie showcase match, yep.
Yeah. B-Boy defeats JD Strauss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mikey Broderick defeats Jack Dullahan. Wesley Williams defeats Aries.
Yep.
Luke Watts defeats Dan Archer. And in an all-star heavyweight title, number one contendership triple threat, Slex defeats Adam Brooks and Mikey Lord. Let me pull up my notes quickly. So this show was a show heavily affected by COVID.
Yeah.
The main event was supposed to be Keegan Brettel versus Slex for the heavyweight title. Adam Brooks versus Mikey Lord was a heavily featured match.
That was meant to be the semi-main, yeah.
And that all, I guess, went to shit due to an event that happened. It was a Kingdom event, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
And it's been dubbed the Great COVID Rumble.
That's what a lot of people within wrestling have called it. Yeah, the Great COVID Rumble.
So what can you tell us about what happened with the Rumble? What your reaction was to it, etc.
All right. So, well, I found out about it because Keegan told me he tested positive for COVID on like the Wednesday or Thursday because it takes 2-3 days to show up. So we're like, oh shit. Well, at least it's only one person, not everyone. But
I mean, he is only one person, but he's your heavyweight champion.
But the assumption was that it would have spread around to a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So the story that I know it to be, and it might not be 100% true, but this is information from people that were there and people that were in charge over there. There was a wrestler by the name of Delicious, who's not a very good wrestler. He turned up with COVID, knowingly, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah. So, maybe not knowingly that he had COVID, but he apparently knew that he was sick. So he turns up and he participates in a match and then a rumble, and he spreads COVID to every single person. So referees, staff members, promoter caught it, everyone. So this guy turned up knowing that he was sick, allegedly, spread COVID to everyone because he couldn't take a day off of booking, and fucked my Summer Spectacular show up royally.
Yeah, so Keegan was gone.
Yep.
Falco, Grant Lindstrom,
both them gone. Caesar, yep.
Countless other staff members who were booked on the show.
There was, I think, a referee, or maybe 2 referees. But then there's all sorts of other people that couldn't turn up. Like Jasmine Brettel was meant to ring announce, but she was a close contact.
Yeah. So
she couldn't be there. Yeah, it was real shitty of Delicious to do that. And then when confronted about it, he just didn't answer anyone and blocked them and removed them from Facebook.
What a dick. I was trying to think of a Delicious.
What a no-dime shitter.
Yeah, there you go.
And he got blacklisted for quite a while, but then Kingdom and a promotion up north in Port Macquarie called NCPW, they brought him back. And it's like, why would you run that risk? But I don't know.
So on this show, you had not just veterans, but I guess 4 of the top guys in the country in Adam Brooks, Slex, Luke Watts, and Mikey Broderick. What were all these guys like working with? I guess you had worked with Luke.
Yeah, Luke had been around for ages.
But Brooksy, Slex, Mikey Broderick.
Yeah, they were all cool. Like the professionals and being involved, like having them on the show kind of made up for well, not made up for it, but it like at least the show wasn't completely decimated. Like, all right, there's no Keegan and everyone else, but hey, at least it's still Adam Brooks, Slex, Mikey Broderick, Luke Watts, Dan Archer, and all those guys, did quite well.
Yeah,
given the show and the circumstances.
Yeah. So on this event also, we saw the debut of Aries.
Little Aries.
Yes,
I remember him well.
I always tell him this story now that we're acquaintances, and I always say that when I was a fan, I saw his match, and I thought he was absolutely dog shit. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was the tights and the jet black long hair with no facial hair, and his finisher looked terrible. And I always remind him of this. But what did you initially think of Aries?
Well, I don't remember the match, but I know both Aries and Wes don't like the match, so I'll take their word on it.
Yeah.
But I just remember Aries, he messaged the day before, and he's like, hey, I heard your show has a lot of guys pulling out because of COVID. And Aries had been trying to get on for a little while, or maybe close to 2 years at this point. He was trying to get on, and we wouldn't put him on because he wasn't 18 yet. But he was 18, and we put him on, and he's same as he is now.
Yeah.
Except he's a little bit smarter now because he's, growing and maturing, and he's got more experience in the wrestling business.
I think even over the last 2 years or year and a half that I've been watching him wrestle, I've seen the improvement. Like as a fan, like when I was a fan, I was like, oh man, this guy's like getting better and better every show.
Yeah, he's dedicated and committed to it all. But the best Aries story, and I've shared it with you before, but I'll share it for the audience. We're backstage, and I'm like, there was Aries and Electra, who was his manager. I don't know if you remember her. Yeah. But I'm telling him, you guys are really marketable. I can make you guys a star. And best part was he goes, yeah, I can commit to that, but I need to commit to AWS first because Goran has promised me the world. And I said, I like Goran. That's what I said. And I do like Goran. But I said, I think you're going to want to stick here. And to his credit, he did stick here. And look at him now.
He's teamed with the Ultimo Dragon. He's great run with the Eastern States Championship. He's got the #1 contenders tournament this Saturday, which we will touch on.
Also been invited overseas for next year. I don't know if he's going.
Yeah.
But he was invited to go and do a tour of Europe. So
he's also wrestled Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita.
Ultimo Dragon, Mike Valuable, Johnny Starr, just a ton of good wrestling talent. So congratulations to Aries. He took a punt on All-Star and it's paid dividends.
Yeah. This event also had an appearance of the first ever Australian to fight in the UFC, Elvis Sinicic.
Elvis. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on Elvis?
He's cool. We talked about him before. To work with, he was cool. He was respectful of the wrestling business. He came in because him and his dad used to watch wrestling. His favorite wrestler was Ricky Steamboat. But I think he said in the promo, and he kept saying to us, Ricky the Steamboat Dragon. So that's pretty funny. But no, he was great. Elvis, really good guy. Our political beliefs don't really align, but I can overlook that stuff. And he's a nice guy.
That's a story for later in
yeah.
So I guess one of the biggest talking points of this show. Now I remember this as a fan. Mikey Lord re-injures his foot on this event.
Yep.
However, some predicted that it was a fake injury.
Yep.
Do you have any details on this? I guess, well, from my perspective, I was sitting front row. And so the way Mikey injured his ankle the first time, which we touched on last week, was
did the moonsault.
The moonsault to the outside.
Yep.
So he, I think Slex was out of the ring. Adam Brooks was out on the mat, and Mikey goes up to the top rope. Looks like he's going for a moonsault, and he even just shrugs his shoulders and went, "Oh, screw it." Goes for the moonsault, does his foot again, and he rolls out for the rest of the match. I remember seeing you helping him backstage, and that was pretty early on in the match. I think Slex and Brooksy went another 10-15.
Yep.
And stole the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what those two are always going to do.
Yeah, those two have wrestled each other so many times.
Yep.
So they're always bound to put on a good match. So was the injury real? Do you know?
I don't know. I heard from sources close to Mikey that it was fake because he felt that he couldn't keep up with Brooks and Slex. He always told me that it was legit though, so take him at his word. But there has been, speculation that maybe it wasn't 100% true, but we'll never know.
So the most notable thing from this event, and this is probably one of my favorite moments. The show ends with future All-Star Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Ryan Eagles making his debut.
Yeah.
He attacked Slex and Brooksy, cut a promo saying that he's coming after Keegan and the All-Star Heavyweight title. First impressions on Ryan Eagles?
I'd met Ryan Eagles before, but he like, not to blow up his spot here, but he's a very intelligent guy, and I feel positively towards him. So he was good to have around, and he's kind of like, I don't know if you'd call him a legend because he's not really old enough to be a legend, but he was, the first guy who's a big name veteran within Australian wrestling that signed on with All Star.
Yeah.
Like
you look at, I guess, you could almost call him the golden era of Australian wrestling. Right?
Yeah.
Like, 10, 15 years ago when Australian wrestling was so different to what it is now.
Yep.
And he was such a huge part in building what it is today.
Yeah.
So yeah, having someone like that around would have been amazing.
Because we had a lot of young guys at that time, but like even Luke Watts, who had been around for, he's been around like 15 years, but he's not really an older guy.
Yeah.
Like even now he's only like mid-30s. So Ryan Eagles is kind of like the first veteran guy who people see as a legend and someone who'll go down in history to sign on with All Star. So that was very important, especially in 2022 when we'd only had, a couple of successful Sydney shows to our name.
Yeah. So that wrapped up January.
The Summer Spectacular, yeah.
We moved on to February for Survival of the Fittest.
The first one, yeah.
The first one. This event, I had it in my notes. This was the introduction of the Eastern States Championship.
Yep.
Why the creation of the Eastern States Championship? And where did the name come from?
Creation of the Eastern States title was because we had a pretty good mid card. Like we had Wes, Dallahan, Paris had just come on board as well. He was going to be a regular, but then he ended up going overseas. Lucius Wolf as well. He was in the tournament. And there's a lot of other mid card guys like B-Boy, JD Strauss. We're like, let's get a belt for these guys. As for the Eastern States title, that is a Will from France creation.
Is it?
Yes. We're throwing names around. And
what names did you have in mind?
Oh, good question. We're gonna do like a weight limit belt, but I didn't think that would have been good.
Like a cruiserweight or a
yeah.
light heavyweight.
Jeez, what else was there? There was like a New South Wales title, which, that's only one state, and we kind of desire to have a belt that could go at least the Eastern States.
Yeah, I believe, did Aries defend it in Queensland?
No, it hasn't been defended in a state, but it's been defended against interstate wrestlers.
Right.
One from every state, really, except Taz.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember the others, but or maybe the Future Stars title was another name.
Yeah.
But the Eastern States, it felt nice, and there was
it's nice.
back in the territory days, there was a Western States title as well, and so it's a bit of a throwback to that.
So before I go into the card for the show,
Yep.
Wes Williams, Jack Dallahan, Lucius Wolf, and Paris De Silva are the four guys in the tournament. Why these four guys?
They're probably the best four guys we had that were mid card or we deemed as mid-card talent at the time, 4 future stars. And if you look at it, like Paris has done so much since that tournament. Not that he's an all-star guy, but Wes, who ended up winning it, former all-star champion. Dullahan eventually got his hands on the title, held it for almost 300 days. And Lucius, he moved to Melbourne, but he's doing well there as well. So, 4 future stars, I think they were good choices.
So the opener is Paris de Silva defeats Jack Dullahan in the semi-final.
Yep.
Wes Williams defeats Lucius Wall. Aries versus Caesar in a no contest. And then Falco and Lindstrom, the elite tag team, defeat Aries and Caesar for the vacant all-star tag team title. What was to go there?
There was a promo where Falco and Grant were like, we deserve to be the tag team champions. And we talked about the vacated tag team titles last week. They said, we're just going to take on these 2 guys for the belts. And that's how it happened.
Wow.
It was actually originally meant to be Grant and Genghis Khan, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I was going to give the reason why, but I probably shouldn't.
Yeah. Aries and Caesar, a formidable tag team. I faced them before.
Yes.
Didn't come out on top.
You lost to them, yeah.
I did. So kudos to Falco and Lindstrom. Morgan Rose defeats Kai Drake.
It's Morgan Rose's debut.
It is.
Yeah, I think he was meant to be on that January show as well. And he got blasted out with the COVID as well.
Right. JD Strauss defeats B-Boy in a rematch from January.
Yep. That little feud going on.
Wes Williams defeats Paris de Silva in the tournament final to win the Eastern States title, the first ever Eastern States champion.
It was one of Wes's favorite matches for quite a while, so it was a good one.
And in the main event, Keegan Brettle defeats Slacks to retain the heavyweight title.
It was exactly what you'd expect it to be. It was a good one. All
right. Not really much else from.
Well, you referenced before the infamous Elvis moment.
Oh yeah, was that?
That's on this show.
Okay, so
tell them about it.
I wasn't at this show, but I've heard about it.
Who told you about it?
Might have been you.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But I believe Elvis Sinisich came. Was he wearing one of the shirts?
I think so.
I think he was wearing a United. Was it the United Australia party?
Yeah.
And he had a whole bunch of shirts with him, and he was throwing them in the crowd.
Yeah. He didn't clear that with me.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, from a wrestling standpoint, I think you should just leave the non-wrestling stuff out of it.
Well, it depends. Like, whilst his political views don't align with mine, you got to respect everybody's political belief.
Of course I can. And it's not about like thinking that he's less or more or whatever. It's more just.
I think some people felt it was being forced down their throat, though, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Also, just a side note with that, we're going into a future show. Elvis said that he could bring the entire United Australia party out for one of our shows. We just would have to give a table. I had to turn that down because it would offend people.
Yeah, right. David Bullock says, "Oh, that's not David Bullock. There we go. I think you told the Elvis story early on in the podcast. Yeah, I think you did. The crowd turned pretty quickly on him, says Cameron Boucher.
Yeah.
So we then went through some collecticons. Nothing too notable.
Only notable thing in the collecticons around this time was Keegan versus Jack. They wrestled for the All-Star title, and that's the last time Dullahan was pinned or submitted.
Wow.
So
that was the 27th of March, 2022.
So there you go, almost 2 years. Crazy.
That is crazy. But also, in the afternoon session, there was a Collecticon Rumble match.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is, so this was won by Hell Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
However, I'm sure you do remember. Keegan Brettle had 2 eliminations in this match.
It was Mitch and Jace, right?
No, so there were 3 technically then. Jack Dullahan and The Factor, Jason Mitch.
I'm sorry.
You officially had an all-star match.
At the Collecticon,
At the Collecticon. How good. David Bullock says Keegan and Jack at the Collecticon was a banger. Wow, David Bullock was
He was in attendance. Wow.
That's crazy. And then we head to the St. Mary's Leagues Club for Best in the West.
Yep.
Why the Penrith expansion? Or that area anyway.
I think I talked about it maybe an episode or two ago when we were talking about the Collecticon. But there's a great audience for wrestling out in Western Sydney, like far Western Sydney. And even to this day, I don't feel like that itch is really being scratched. You know, like there's not really a great wrestling promotion out in Western Sydney apart from World Series, who runs twice a year, yeah. So great audience out there. I knew Penrith to be a great wrestling town. That's why I wanted to go out there. But it was just a lot of struggles with it, which I guess we'll touch on later.
Yeah, so this event also saw the in-ring debut of Elvis Sinisic taking on Falco.
Yep.
How was Elvis trained ahead of the match, and how do you feel Elvis went in the match?
He did all right. Like, you wouldn't say that it was an awful match. It wasn't amazing, though. But
how long did he train for before the match?
He did 3 or 4 training sessions, I think, or maybe even less. He did a couple at Padstow, and then Keegan went over to his MMA gym and trained him once. So let's call it 3 times. He knew a lot of the stuff, though, because
obviously he's a trained MMA fighter.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot, but I think
like he could already take a back bump and he could already take a majority of the moves.
Okay.
They went through the match and, you know, the psychology of it all, and yeah, it worked out well. Like, I wouldn't say it was a 5-star classic, but it was totally acceptable for what we were trying to do with it.
So I'll go through the card quickly. Paris De Silva returns. He defeats Parker Thomas.
Yep.
Grant Lindstrom defeats Hell Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey Lord defeats Aries.
Yeah.
The Eastern States title. Wes Williams defeats
Jean Wen.
There we go.
From Melbourne.
Ryan Eagles defeats B-Boy.
It's Ryan Eagles' debut, yeah.
In the semi-main event, Elvis Sinisic defeats Harvey Falco.
Mm-hmm.
And the main event, Keegan Brettle defeats Carlo Cannon.
Mm-hmm. Had a really good match.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on Carlo? How did that booking come about?
Oh, it's like every other booking. We reached out to him. He was, you know, he's a big name in Australian wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think many people know how, I guess, he's very well known within the industry, I think.
But from long ago.
Yeah.
But he's great, Carlo. Like, everybody loves him, to my knowledge. And like, it's easy to understand why. Just such a nice guy. Like, yeah, I'd like to see Carlo in All-Star again. Maybe we'll see it soon, but he's a top bloke.
A few weeks later, All-Star spends 2 days at the Central Coast Regional Show. Any memories from those events? Should I run through the card for you?
Maybe don't run through the card because he will be here forever. But I remember turning up, it was raining. We set the ring up the day before and it rained on show day. So guys were wrestling matches in the rain in front of nobody because it was raining and nobody was at the agricultural show. I remember Mikey Lord taking a huge bump into a puddle of mud.
That sounds fun.
I don't think it was fun for him. But yeah, he got all muddy.
It sucked for your wrestling gear though.
I remember someone getting thrown into a council bin. And then the next day, like, it was sunny and there was a big audience. There's like a couple hundred people in the stands watching.
Wow.
So the second day was a bit better than the first day, but the first day was a lot of fun. And it was one of those experiences where we all just bonded. It was a big group of guys that, you know, hung around for dinner, hung around for drinks, and it was nice. It's where I got to kind of know Aries a little bit as well because he stayed overnight, and you know we hung out the majority of that night.
Just quickly, I can see a comment there from Mr. Hardy Production saying, "Box, where is your Jasmine shirt?" I did say last week that I was going to wear my Jasmine Brettle shirt this week, and I'm going to be honest, I forgot. You
owe Jasmine Brettle an apology.
I do, Jasmine. If you're watching and listening, which I hope you are, I apologize. You're an amazing wrestler, an amazing friend, an amazing mother, and you have
amazing partner.
Great taste in partners, in husbands,
and in children.
Yep. You're the best in the world. We love you.
Best wrestler in Australia.
Best wrestler in Australia. Yeah. What else?
Women's champion. Best women's champion.
Best women's champion in the world.
Don't let Billy Mack and Shazza hear you say that.
Yeah.
What else can we say?
Best spinning neck breaker in the world. Best running back elbow.
All right, you put her over enough.
Yep.
We hit our quota for this week.
For this half hour. Yep. The next show, the 4-year All-Star anniversary. Now at this show, the All-Star ring is not used.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Sorry, just before you go into that, I see a message. And it's about the banner. And
sure, barbecue, Chief. I just worked for you.
Yep.
Not getting kicked in the face over it.
I'll deal with it.
The ring.
The ring.
All right, so this is quite the story for you. So, a truck rental place calls the day before. They go, "Oh, we've run out of trucks for the show." I'm like, "Okay, like what's the workaround?" You would think that they'd give us a workaround. They go, "Well, we've got a moving truck here for you that we're going to give you." Moving truck wouldn't have fit the ring in it because the ring hangs over. So it's like, okay, well, we got no other option. We got no truck to move the ring. I was in Wollongong at the time, so it wouldn't have been as simple as it is now because, where I live now, you could literally walk it to Padstow RSL.
Yeah.
It would be quite the scene, like a bunch of ants.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah. So had to use Mikey Lord's or Mitch Radecki's ring. Radecki managed to organize a truck on the day, which is pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went to him. I think someone told me that he might have access to a truck. He managed to organize it. Then we used his ring, but the show almost didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, like the ring turned up at like 4 p.m. Wow. And there was a bunch of guys there that had arrived at like 12 because that's what time we usually got there for setup back then. And yeah, like they all got the ring up. Damian Slater was there. His seminar had to be cancelled because of that. But we got it done. Thank God.
Yeah, that's actually really a crazy story.
Everyone was pissed off.
I know what you're like. You're very like on show day. You get very stressed. You would have been panicking.
Yeah, because as well, you hear your phone vibrating and you're selling tickets to the show. And we were just sitting across the street from this car yard waiting for this possibility of a truck. And, you moving tickets as like, oh, fuck. But no, we did get it done thanks to Mitch Radecki and Mikey Lord. So, a lot of people talk shit about Mikey, myself included. But, on that day, he really did save my ass with Mitch Radecki.
So this 4-year anniversary show, Aries, Hugh Beauty, and Super Bison.
Yeah, they're slam wrestling guys.
Defeat Morgan Rose, Falco, and Lindstrom in a 6-man tag.
It was a good match from memory.
An Eastern States title fatal 4-way. Wes Williams defeats B-Boy, Caesar, and Mikey Lord.
Yep.
Otis defeats Hell Yeah. Is that the debut of Otis?
It is, yeah.
Aaron Jake defeats Parker Thomas. Genghis Kong defeats Mr. Tremendous.
Yep.
Luke Watts defeats Damian Slater.
Yeah.
And Ryan Eagles defeats Keegan Brettle in an impromptu title match to become the 6th All-Star champion.
6, yeah.
6th All-Star heavyweight champion. What were your thoughts on that match?
Remember, it was good.
Were you pleased that Ryan Eagles took the belt?
I think Ryan Eagles adds credibility to the championship. Like you'll look back at the history of the belt in 10 years, and you'll be like, "Oh, Ryan Eagles, I know him. He's a big deal." I feel like everyone that's held the All-Star belt has been a big deal. Like Blake Stone was a big deal. Kingston was a big deal. Keegan, obviously, a big deal. Ryan Eagles was a big deal. Orlando, a big deal. Wes as well. So, yeah, he adds credibility to it. So he was an excellent choice.
Around this time, All Star does approximately 6 Lucha Libre events for a company, I guess or a restaurant named Yo Loco.
Yeah.
How did the deal come about? What did you think of the deal, and why did it end?
So there was this guy. He created Flip Out. His name's Brent. He was using AWF, and we would watch these lucha shows. I won't say who we is, but you would probably know Box.
Yeah.
And we would laugh at them because it would be like, they'd have like D-Pack versus Nikki Petite, and we'd be like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't lucha." Like, and then there was moments where like this big obese dude, he like fell off the ring apron and injured himself, and we would just laugh at this, and we'd be like, "Well, what's going on?" So eventually, one night, this guy Brent popped up in the All Star Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing these wrestling shows. I'm over the guy I'm working with right now, which is Greg, and we're trialing new promotions. We pay X. Give me a call." So I knew about this guy. I called him. We talked. Had pretty good rapport with him. He wasn't really a wrestling guy, but he was cool. I see a message there from Akel. He was there too.
About to go into training, boys. Big boxing fight this week. Wish me luck, lads. Gonna KO him for you, Box.
Well, good luck.
Good luck, Akel.
So anyway, I was talking to Brent, and like he booked, I think, AWE, PWA, us, and maybe that was it, or maybe there was another one. But we all ran like 2 weeks consecutively, and Brent felt that we were the best, which I hadn't seen the other shows, but I guess we were, because I put a lot of effort into it. Like Carlo Cannon was on those shows. A guy from MCW named Emmanuel who had done Lucha. Yeah, he was there. And then, of course, we had like Keegan, who has done Lucha over in the States. Aries, who had done Lucha. So we had a good crew of Lucha guys, and Brent really enjoyed the shows. What were your other questions?
Oh yeah. So how did the deal finish? How did it end, I guess?
So there was a show we ran. We booked 10 or 12 guys. I don't remember. But 2 had to pull out because they had COVID symptoms. So it's like, all right, well, we'll be down on wrestlers, but we can still work the show. So then on show day, we had 2 people pull out on the day.
Right. So you only had 8 guys.
I think it might have been 6.
Oh, wow.
So we had 10 guys. Then it was down to 8, and we're like, okay, well, we'll do 5-match card. That'll be fine. So we had 6 guys. Who was it? Like Keegan, Morgan Rose, Hell Yeah, Jasmine, Aries, and someone else. We had to fill a 2-hour show with 6 guys. Yeah. So we did manage to fill the show. There was like a 45-minute main event. Oh, B-Boy was the other guy.
Right.
B-Boy was in the main event with someone. We did like a 45-minute ladder match, and yeah, it wasn't.
I think I've seen the ladder match.
Well, we did one every single show.
Oh, right.
The man loved the ladder match.
Oh, wow.
And we were happy to provide one. But he was upset about the music not working as well, and like that was his problem because it was his system. I'm like, look, the show stuff was no good, but
AKL gave us the Yo Loco timeline. So it was Wrestle Strong Dojo, AWF, AWE, All Star, PWA, then Kayfabe.
Yeah. Well, Kayfabe was they started doing it themselves.
Right.
Yeah. And now they don't do it anymore, but apparently they are doing it again.
Yeah,
so.
I saw they put up a thing on their Facebook saying who wants to see the wrestling back, which is usually an indicator that they're going to bring it back.
But it was a fun little deal. I think we had it for 3 months.
Yeah. So you said one of those shows that you ran from home.
Yeah.
What's that story?
I had COVID,
Right.
so I had Keegan run the show for me, and I was running it. Like I had someone live stream the show for me, and I would make phone calls, and I was just as stressed as I am on show day normally. I remember someone in my house who was sick with COVID, like tried to interrupt me when I was talking, and I yelled at them, and I felt very bad about that. It wasn't me, or it was someone else we were living with at the time,
Right.
and it was pretty funny. Like I ran a show from home, but that's the only
Special man couch.
That's right. Yeah, I was sitting in the bedroom and like I was watching everything. It was a pretty good show too. Like Ricky South, I think, was on that show.
Oh,
Kasai
right.
was on that show. A bunch of other guys, but yeah, I was doing special man duties from home.
Yeah. Right. So the next show. Oh, hold on, just quickly. Hold on. No joke. During those shows and dealing with crazy kids running around like crazy was the closest I came to quit filming wrestling.
Yeah. So what he means by that, there was no barricades and the kids were pretty crazy. Like majority of the time, there was a lot of kids there. So the kids would just approach the ring, jump in the ring, gather around the cameraman, and you'd do the announcement, ladies and gentlemen, please, stay away from the wrestlers, rah rah rah, and
They wouldn't.
they wouldn't listen. We had kids in the ring. It was crazy. I remember one time I walked backstage, had a 10-minute chat. I come back out and there's 50 kids in the ring. And Ozend is standing there. I'm like, Ozend, what are you doing? They can't be in the ring. He's like, what? What's the problem? That was Ozend for you. Just no common sense to that man. But there was a bunch of kids in the ring, and that was a regular occurrence at Yo Loco.
The next show, A Night to Remember 3.
Yes, the big one.
Over 300 people in attendance for this show. 250 if Pads to RSL Club asks. But
it was a special night, box.
It was. I was in attendance. Let's run through this card. The All-Star Tag Team titles. Aries and Mikey Lord defeat Falco and Lindstrom to become the new Tag Team champions.
Yep. It was a big moment. Aries had he had like it must have been 30, 40 people there. And they're all on one side.
Yeah, right.
And then he wins his first title. Yeah. And then he proposes to his partner in the ring.
Yeah, what a night.
Amazing.
Greatest night of his life. Otis defeats Kasai.
I got to mention, I did still expect Aries to do ring crew after proposing to his missus, but someone talked me out of that. They're like, he's just proposed to his missus, let him go home. I'm like, nah, I got to do ring crew. Now that's your guys' job. But back then, I wasn't too happy about it. Wrestling comes first, Chief.
Otis defeats Kasai.
Yeah, that's Kasai's sole all-star appearance, apart from Yo Loco.
I didn't even remember that he was on that show.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
I do remember this. The Eastern States #1 contendership scramble match.
Yep. Jack
Dullahan defeats Aaron Jake, B-Boy, Genghis Kong, Morgan Rose, and Parker Thomas. Chris Masters. The Chris Masters.
As opposed to a Chris Masters.
Yeah. The Chris Masters, the masterpiece, defeats Wes Williams for the Eastern States title. Now, prior to this, Chris Masters defeated Hell Yeah in a Master Lock challenge.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Akel says
it didn't last very long either.
Akel says, I think I jumped on crew that night.
Thank you, Akel.
It pops me that Akel's here 5 minutes after he said that he had to go train. Go train, Akel. Jasmine Brettle defeats Erica Reed in her return match. Yeah. Fun story about this match. That match was when I first met Jasmine Brettle.
Yeah.
Erica Reed gave her a DDT on top of the table in front of me, and she fell into my lap.
Well, what a way to meet, Box.
Yeah, and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And she was like, "Ow, my head." And then she ended up winning the match, I believe. But yeah, that was the moment I met Jasmine Brettle.
You've told that story a whole heap of times, Box. It's one of your favorites.
On the podcast?
I don't know.
Yeah, probably. But,
I've heard it a lot of times.
Yeah, probably. I did tell Jasmine I'd reference it, though. Shout out to Jasmine. Great mom, great wrestler. all that stuff. Slex defeats Hell Yeah in an open challenge.
Yeah, that was meant to be Luke Watts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Luke was injured, I believe, at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the main event, Ryan Eagles successfully retains against Keegan Brettle and Carlito.
Current WWE superstar.
Current WWE superstar Carlito. Let me run through my notes here. How are Carlito and Chris Masters to work with?
They were really good. Both of them. Like, I think I've said on the pod before, we've never had an issue with an international star. They've always just been really chill. That includes Katie Forbes, Kosei Fujita, all the ones from this year. But Carlito, a bit quieter than Masters, but a totally respectable guy, and you know, can't say enough good things about him. And Chris Masters, we kind of got to know him more on the tour, which we'll get into quite soon, because I think it was after this.
Well, yeah.
But he was awesome as well. So yeah, they're great.
Justin Brettle makes a return to wrestling after giving birth with a big showdown against Erica Reed. Now, this wasn't directly after she gave birth. She had about how long did she have off?
Oh, well, she fell pregnant in early 2021.
Yeah, I know.
Just after that Padstow show, I believe she found out she was pregnant, like the first Padstow.
Yeah, because I remember at Summer Spectacular. Sorry, no, at the Night to Remember 2, she was ring-announcing pregnant.
Yeah. So I don't know Jordan Brettle's birthday off by hand.
I think it's later in the year.
Well, let's hypothetically say it's October. So she would have had 8 months to get ready for this match.
Yeah, right. In the main event, Ryan Eagles defeats Carlito and Keegan Brettle to retain the All-Star Wrestling Heavyweight title.
Yeah, you just said that, Chief.
Did I?
Yeah.
Thoughts on this match and memories from the match?
I just remember the crowd. The crowd are so into it. They love seeing Carlito and Keegan and Eagles do their thing. Yeah, it was a great match. Carlito did more than you'd expect a WWE guy to do. Usually it's a bit hit and miss. You don't know if they're going to do a lot, or
sometimes I'll come in and just
not even take a bump. Yeah. But like you don't know what you're going to get. But both Carlito and Masters worked hard, and it's because the great crowd that was there that night.
Now the infamous tour.
Yeah, we've done a lot of talk on this one.
We have.
So let's just hit the highlights box.
So we had Koba, Kudamundra,
yep,
Forbes, and we returned to the St. Mary's Leagues Club.
Yeah, that wasn't really part of the tour,
No,
St. Mary's.
So just quickly going through the cards. So Koba was Keegan Brettle defeats B-Boy, Aries defeats Mickey Vendetta, Wes Williams defeats Mikey Lord, El Taco defeats John Whelan.
El Taco.
Yeah. Aries and Mikey Lord defeat Mickey Vendetta and Wes Williams. Chris Masters defeats Hell Yeah to retain the Eastern States title.
Yeah. That was Koba, and I can announce we're going back to Koba in February. So I'm excited to go back to Koba. On that tour, it was my favorite place to visit. So yeah. I'm keen.
Kudamundra, arguably the most monumental in terms of wrestling wise.
It was the biggest attendance as well.
Yeah, so B-Boy defeats Mickey Vendetta. JD Strauss defeats Aries. Mikey Lord defeats the Violent One. Yep. Shout out to the Violent One. Keegan Brettle versus Wes Williams ends in a no contest. Aries defeats JD Strauss in a Kudamundra street fight.
It's a banger.
Yeah. And in the main event, the All-Star Wrestling Eastern States title, Jack Dullahan defeats Chris Masters after a mere 27-day reign.
Yep.
And he went on to have the longest reigning Eastern States title run so far.
Yeah, he held it until April of 2023. So,
and then lastly in Forbes, an Eastern States title tournament, number one contendership tournament took place.
Yep.
JD Strauss defeats B-Boy. Aries defeats Keegan Brettle. JD Strauss defeats Aries. Dullahan then retained against JD Strauss. Keegan Brettle defeats, Chris Masters defeats Keegan Brettle by DQ. And that led to a huge six-man tag. Aries, Chris Masters, and Jack Dullahan defeat JD Strauss, John Whelan, and Keegan Brettle.
See, even that tag match is like a testament to how cool Masters is.
Yeah. Got a couple comments here, just quickly. Cameron Shea says, despite the shenanigans that happened during the tour, it was a lot of fun.
The cool thing about Masters is, he jumped in there with everyone and he didn't really have to.
Yeah.
He could have said, no, I'm not going to do that, but he did. So
David Bullock says, coming up on the first non-Collecticon event, Christopher and I attended St. Mary's.
The second St. Mary's show, he means, yeah.
Mitchell Burns says, big ups, Puppeteer. We're getting into the story about the Puppeteer very
Yeah, we're going to have Puppeteer story coming up.
So St. Mary's. I do remember this show also.
You were there. You were there live.
Yeah.
You were hooked.
I was hooked. Yeah, had me hook, line, and sinker, chief. Jack Dullahan defeats B-Boy and Parker Thomas for the Eastern States title in a triple threat. Caesar and Hell Yeah defeated Genghis Kong and the Misfit. Morgan Rose and Otis defeat Aries in a 2-on-1 handicap match to win the All-Star Tag Team titles for the first time.
Yes.
Shaz McKenzie defeats Bill Pierce. Wes Williams defeats Aaron Jake. Robbie Eagles defeats Keegan Brettle. That's his first appearance since A Night to Remember 2, I believe. So only the second ever All-Star appearance.
Robbie usually pops up once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So it keeps things fresh.
And Ryan Eagles defeated Chris Masters for the heavyweight title in the main event.
It was a good match.
That was a good match. Robbie Eagles came out afterwards and challenged Ryan Eagles, and Ryan Eagles said no.
That's right. I remember that.
Akel says, training can wait. All-Star talk. This is going to break the internet. Oh, Chief, we've been through it so much now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bit.
We're just kind of discussing it because we're doing a timeline.
Yeah. I don't think we need to go into the nitty-gritty again.
No.
If you want to hear about the nitty-gritty, check out episode 4 of the Mitch.
Is that really the episode?
I think it's episode
wow.
4, yeah.
You know it off by heart.
Yeah, check out episode 4 of the Mitch and Alex show.
Yeah.
Scroll through. It's in there. So maybe episode 3. It's episode 3 or 4.
You'll see it. You'll see it.
And then a couple more Collecticons. We don't really need to go through those, I don't think. Yeah, so the St. Mary's show, before I move on from there. The crowd not as huge as, I guess, what you were doing at the time.
It was about
130, my notes saying.
Something like that, yeah. It wasn't... With a WWE guy, you would expect a lot more, especially with Robbie and Shazza there as well.
Yeah. Robbie and Keegan, such a marquee match as well.
Well, that's the match that got you out there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So All-Star never returns to the area except the Collecticons. Why did you stop running Penrith? And do you think that you'll be back out there anytime soon, other than Collecticons?
Well, we stopped running it because the support wasn't there. Like, ultimately, if an event... Because the events obviously cost quite a bit of money to put on. You don't want to operate at a loss, because if you do that, then you're just silly and you're in the business for the wrong reason. So we tried it twice, gave them 2 relatively big cards, and unfortunately the support wasn't there. Would I be willing to try it again? Possibly, but we'd need a smaller building. There's not a lot of buildings out there that'll take wrestling out that way. So if I could find a little 100-seat building and just build up, that'd be good. But realistically, we couldn't keep affording to pay the building rent plus wrestlers plus advertising plus everything that goes into an event for 100, 120 people.
Akel says, Violent One committed... See that. Can't read, my eyes are terrible. Something about a torturous match with Mikey Lord.
Yeah, there was a match where it was believed that Mikey was under the influence of something against the Violent One, so it was pretty horrendous. Yeah.
Akel says he's just trying to understand the mystery of the puppeteer and his time machine.
I remember they were talking about that.
Yeah, that's about a time machine. Mitch, who is blacklisted from All Star and why? Says Mr. Hardy Production. Have we been through this before?
No, but let's go into it.
Yeah, sure.
The guys I wouldn't book. It's not a long list. There's the Blacktown Brawler, who doesn't wrestle anymore.
That's my favorite name on that.
Yeah. The reason why he no-showed, no-called our first event. And you just don't do that. Communication is key. He just didn't turn up. Then Mikey Lord as well, for reasons we've discussed 1,000 million times. And there's a recent addition that I don't want to go into.
Fair enough.
So three people.
Mitchell Burns says, we need an explanation about the time machine.
We're not going into that.
I don't even know that. Yeah. Is there a way for them to come back?
That's a good question. For Blacktown Brawler, no way. Mikey, I'm open to talking to Mikey, and I've forgiven him for what happened. You know, it's water under the bridge. I don't think he'd come back just because of how other people feel. But I got no real beef with him anymore. And the other person that I don't want to name, yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Moving on.
I guess that's a no. There's no way to come back.
Yeah. Moving on. So this Keegan versus Robbie match would be seemingly at this point Keegan's last match, due to a shoulder
Seemingly,
injury.
yeah.
Seemingly. And then 1 month later, we're back at the Pad Star Cell4. One shot at glory. Keegan Brettle says farewell. Aries takes on Ryan Eagles for the All-Star title. Was there ever serious concerns about Keegan retiring? Was the event that night genuinely emotional?
It was emotional.
So how did you find out Keegan was retiring?
Well, he told me.
Well, yeah, no, but like, was there any oh, hey, I'm injured, I might have to not wrestle?
Well, he'd been having shoulder injuries and concerns for, it must have been close to 2 years at this point. So the issue he'd have, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, his shoulder would always pop out in the middle of a match. So I guess he was effectively dislocating his shoulder each time. So of course there was concerns. I just believe the surgery came off better than expected.
Yeah.
So
let me run through the card of this August show. So Genghis Kong defeats Hell Yeah. Jasmine Brettle defeats Xena. Is this Xena's All-Star debut?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Morgan Rose and Otis defeat Headstrong, JL Gold and Xander Sullivan.
Yeah, they're great, both of them.
Yeah, they are. Jack Dullahan defeats Caesar and Wes Williams in a triple threat match.
Remember that being a fun match too.
Yeah. Johnny Starr defeats B-Boy in his return to the promotion.
Another return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great match. I do remember that. That whole feud was a fun one. And Ryan Eagles defeats Aries. I think that might be top 3 in my matches of Aries.
Yeah, it was certainly a good one. I don't know if it would make my top 3, but I really did enjoy it, and Aries came so close.
He did.
Wow.
Whoa.
Getting choked up. He just got so close. No, it was a good one. It was a fun match, and Aries did really good in his first Padstow main event. And I think has he main evented Padstow again? Yes, one other time. Yeah.
So Johnny Starr, as I mentioned, has returned to the promotion again. What led to the return this time? Because I think he came back for the Robbie Eagles match and then
disappeared again.
He's got to sip his Pepsi for this.
No, it was just simply, it's a situation where sometimes you pick up the phone and things can get worked out a lot easier than
you thought.
Yeah, and it was that, and he admitted wrongdoing, I admitted wrongdoing, and we moved on.
Fair enough. Yeah. 6 weeks later, All-Star visits 2 regional towns on the south coast called Ulladulla and Sussex Inlet.
Yes.
Let me run through the cards of those.
These were good shows as well.
So the Ulladulla show, Caesar defeats Otis. Morgan Rose defeats Hell Yeah via countout. Jasmine Brettle defeats Erica Reed. Jack Dullahan defeats Johnny Starr in an Eastern States title match.
It's a good match.
Morgan Rose and Otis defeat Team Hell Yeah.
You like that one, Box?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Caesar and Hell Yeah.
I wish I could take credit for that, but that game. No, I think that's a Caesar.
Oh, really?
Caesar and Hell Yeah come up with that one, I
I
think.
like that. And in an interstate challenge match,
Yeah,
Aries defeats Sid Parker.
banger.
Is this the one on the truck? Where they do
No, that was the next day, but they had a really good match in Ulladulla. I think the Ulladulla one was Aries' favorite match for a while. But I like the one the next day.
Yeah, so Sussex Inlet, Caesar defeats Otis. Hell Yeah defeats Morgan Rose via DQ. Erica Reed defeats Jasmine Brettle.
Mm-hmm.
And Sid Parker defeats Aries.
Yep.
Doesn't say what. Was it a no DQ match, like a no hold barred match?
Yeah, they got a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Which was funny because Sussex Inlet, a small town, there's maybe 70 people in attendance. But in a small town like that, a show like that can be profitable. But like they went all out for 70 people, so that's a testament to Aries and Sid, and everyone worked hard.
Yeah. So after this, a week later, I believe, was the Leeton Agricultural Show, where we saw the debut of the puppeteer.
That's right.
The man himself, Akel and Mitchell Burns, are creaming all over their phones right now. It's the debut of the puppeteer. What were your thoughts of the puppeteer?
Well, the story of the puppeteer. We didn't have a wrestling school back then, so we had places to fill in Leeton. And if you go through who was actually on the show, you'll understand why. Who was on there?
So No Remorse, the team of Bruce Buchanan and Chase Williams.
Yeah, so they were a Melbourne team.
Defeats Aries and Valito.
Yeah, so Valito's from Melbourne. Aries, obviously the sole all-star guy at the time.
The Puppeteer defeats El Hijo del McDaniel.
Which is Tommy Trigger.
By DQ.
Yeah.
And then Aries, the Puppeteer, and Valito defeat El Hijo del McDaniel and No Remorse.
Yeah, so that's the guys who were on. So we're struggling to fill the card, and Keegan goes, I know this old guy not old guy, an old guy as in, like, I knew him a while ago. Not old as in he's old.
Ancient, yeah.
He goes, I know this guy, and he's keen to do the show. He hasn't wrestled in a while. I don't know how we all go, but he's happy to come down. So I'm like, all right. I say to Keegan, I go, am I gonna like this guy? He goes, oh yeah, you'll love him.
And here we are.
So we get there on show day. I think we all went down a day early, and then Puppet turned up on the day. I think. Something like that.
He's such a cook unit. I love him so much.
Anyway, he turns up. He's got his green hair, I think. He walks over, shakes my hand, and then the man starts lifting these massive ring boards we have by himself.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, the ring boards usually take at least 2 people on them.
Yeah, sometimes 3.
Sometimes 3. And the puppeteer just carries them on his own.
And I'm thinking in my head, who the fuck is this guy? I'm taking videos. I'm like, what on earth is going on? And then I go, what's your ring name and what's your music? And he didn't have music. And he gave me the ring name and I didn't understand it. So I'm just like, I'm going to call you the puppeteer. And he's like, all right, that's fine. So he won me over that night or that day. And then I'm sitting there because the event gave us they put us in this corporate box to enjoy fireworks.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just sitting there with this guy. He's got face paint on and green hair. And I'm like, who am I sitting with? What am I doing? And I don't know. I love the puppeteer. Ever since then, I invited him to the next show, the next Padstow, to film a promo with Hell Yeah and Caesar and I think Xander as well. And then he's just he's become one of my favorite people in wrestling. Like, I love that guy. And he's so popular now as well. So
yeah, he is.
I'll take credit for discovering the puppeteer along with Big Keegsy B.
100%. The infamous teapot drop.
Yeah, that's a new thing. I don't know where that came from, but
Neither do I.
He did it at training once. That said I like it, and apparently someone else come up with that idea though.
Right.
So I can't take credit for that. But bringing the puppeteer into the limelight, All Star can take credit for that.
We then get to October, the Path of Destruction show.
Yes.
So I'm going to preface with the story. A rare Friday night Padstow show. What was the reason for the Friday night instead of the Saturday?
So we had the tour Saturday, Sunday.
That's right. Yep.
Well, double header. I don't really class it as a tour unless it's more than 3 days.
So this was supposed to be a tour or a series of shows headlined
Double header, yeah.
by Charlie Hart,
former WWE superstar,
the second greatest member of the world's greatest tag team.
That's harsh, but true.
Yeah, so you're still chasing over $4,000 to this day.
No, I can confirm that Charlie has agreed to pay it back now, whether he will or not.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, there was a whole sequence of things that happened.
Yeah,
apparently it was paid, and then it wasn't paid, and then
nothing's been
some
paid.
of it was paid, and yeah.
But he's agreed to pay it back, and that's all I care about at the end of the day.
So the card is as follows: Jack Dullahan defeats KE Prince or KL Prince, KE Prince. I don't know.
Who knows?
Whatever he was billed as that day. For the Eastern States title, Johnny Starr defeats B-Boy and Vinnie Bronson in a Padstow street fight. For me, this was match of the night. Morgan Rose and Otis defeats Team Hell Yeah.
That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Xena with Jayla J defeats Jasmine Brettle in a grudge match.
Yep.
Dan Archer defeats Aries. That one shocked me. And Brian Eagles defeats Tyson Gibbs. Was that Tyson Gibbs' sole All-Star appearance?
Yep.
Yeah.
One and only.
And then we had the tour, the Northern Defiance tour.
Yeah, let's not go into the card because we're running low on time.
Yeah, so
but hit the highlights box.
Yeah, so Casino and Evans Head, which is 8 hours away from Padstow, we saw the likes of Billy Mack.
Billy Mack's first appearance.
Yeah, we had the Misfit on the tour. Aries and Morgan Rose had a couple matches on there.
They had a really good match in Casino. Like, Casino wasn't a particularly big draw.
Yeah.
But they went all out and had a really great match. Yeah, I have that match somewhere. I should probably chuck it up on the socials, but I don't know.
And then we'll quickly head into our final event of the year, Christmas Carnage. The first edition this Saturday.
Let's talk about the travel of that tour.
Okay.
So we leave Padstow at 11 o'clock. And then Osmond, and I got to give credit to Osmond. I said, sometimes he didn't have the most common sense, but he had the work ethic of he had the best work ethic of anyone. So
he was like the puppeteer.
No, he had more work ethic than the puppeteer.
Wow.
He's like you.
Oh.
He had that kind of commitment, yeah. So I'm like, do you want me to book a hotel? We can do half the trip and stop at whatever town it was, and then we can do the rest of the trip the next day. No, don't do that. Don't worry. I'm like, all right, well, let's, midway through, so you can sleep and not die, we'll stop. No, it's all good. It's all good. That man drove from 11 o'clock at night until like 6 or 7 in the morning to get to Casino in time.
That's ridiculous.
We had a couple stops, of course. But the man didn't sleep. And then he arrived at Casino, fell asleep for an hour like I did.
Aries has chimed in. Apparently, he kept Osmond awake the entire time.
Oh, that's lucky because I wasn't. I was asleep. I managed to get like 2 or 3 hours sleep on the way up. But I think he pulled over at some point, like when we were almost at Casino for an hour. But that was it. Like, the man's crazy, but he was really good at what he did, and he got us to where we needed to go in plenty of time.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Like the travel that we've done is like we've done some travel before.
We done 7 hours to Narrandera. It was like that.
But like that was like we left in the morning or in the afternoon.
Yeah,
we got like. I couldn't imagine doing that trip in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was cooked.
Yeah.
I don't know how he stayed awake. Like Aries says he was waking him up
Aries says because they almost hit a kangaroo.
Oh yeah, you got to watch out for that up there too. Yeah,
Down in the Ranger, we had that.
Yeah. But no, I don't know how we did it. And then we've talked about Evans Head before. That was a shit one, but Casino was a lot of fun. Evans Head had nobody there. It was one of the worst All-Star shows ever.
Yeah, Christmas Carnage, very first edition. This weekend, Saturday.
There's another
Carnage
one,
2.
Christmas Carnage 2, yeah.
Our final show of the year.
Which we'll have time to talk about, Box.
We will. So let me run through this card. B-Boy defeats Vinny Vane with Piers Austin. Jack Dullahan defeats Xander Sullivan. Hell Yeah in a 3-on-1 handicap match defeats El Hoyo and Uno. Grant Lindstrom and Massive Q. I know those slides anyway. Ricky South defeats Aries. Johnny Starr defeats Santa Claus in a 5-minute challenge. And I believe the stipulation for this was if Santa Claus won, Johnny Starr would have to shout everyone in the audience a drink.
I do remember that. It's quite the promise.
Jasmine Brettle defeats Shazza McKenzie and Steph DeLander, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
And Ryan Eagles defeats Luke Watts. Defeats Luke Watts for the heavyweight title.
Yes. It was a really good show from what I remember.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that we're always gonna remember as a good first outing for the Christmas Carnage lineage.
Yeah, so Steph DeLander, she's on this card, fresh from her run in NXT, brief run.
It was quite a brief run, yeah. She's done a lot more since then.
Yeah.
Now she's exploded.
So it was her Sydney return. How did that come about? First ever All-Star Women's Champion Shazza is in this match, as is the current Women's Champion, Jasmine Brettle. So 3, I guess, very certified.
Yeah, they've all wrestled overseas and done a lot. Steph DeLander came about. She was in Australia. She was open to taking bookings, so gave her a booking. Yeah. And Shazza had already worked with us before. This is her return from overseas, I think, her All-Star return.
Yep. And
Jazz is always, All-Star. So
yeah. So what did you think of the match?
It was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think Jasmine picked up the win in this one, I believe.
Yes, she did.
I read that? Yeah.
It was the start of a feud with Shazza because Shazza attacked her after the bell.
That's right.
Yeah, it was good.
So the main event of this show, Ryan Eagles and Luke Watts. What were your thoughts on that match?
It was good. It was your typical All-Star main event where they brawled in the crowd and they had some really great wrestling in there as well. And they had a great match at Wrestling Go as well for the All-Star title, like 4 months prior. So it was a natural choice.
So after the match, was announced by Commissioner Keegan Brettle at the time.
Right, yeah.
He had about a 6-month run as the Commissioner of All-Star?
August to December, so yeah.
He announced the main event of Summer Spectacular 3 would be Robbie Eagles versus Ryan Eagles, brother versus brother.
How exciting, Box.
I was pumped because I think after the St. Mary's show, as I said, Robbie challenged Ryan.
Yeah.
And Ryan said no. And then throughout the next
6 months.
6 months,
yeah,
Ryan repeatedly challenged Robbie, knowing that Robbie wasn't there.
What a cat.
What a cat.
Mm.
And then they headlined Summer Spectacular 3. I would say it's still my favorite All-Star show of the time.
Yeah, certainly up there.
What were your thoughts on the promo by Keegan? And what were your thoughts on Keegan's run as commissioner?
I thought the promo was good. Keegan's run as commissioner, I felt like we could have done a lot more with it, but it was good. People love seeing Keegan no matter what he's doing. I feel like we could have done some segments where maybe he was, I don't know, abusing his authority a little bit, but it wasn't to be. It was certainly interesting.
I mean, he did suspend Morgan Rosenberg,
but that was totally justified, Box.
Once, yeah. Which the commissioner thing did, I guess, come to a head in 2023, which we will get into
Next week.
Which is perfect timing, I guess, because
our last show of the week, last show of the year is this week.
Correct. So next year we'll touch on our
next week we'll touch on
next year. How many events have we done this year? 20.
Yeah, it was meant to be a quiet year.
Yeah.
It's never a quiet year.
Yeah, we'll touch on the appearances of the Ultimate Dragon, Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita, Katie Forbes, Red Scorpion.
Eagles versus Eagles.
Eagles versus Eagles.
Wrestling
the return
school.
of Keegan, the school.
Just ignore that box. Don't worry about it. Don't let him throw you off. We got some questions there. Let's read them.
Yeah. Johnny Starr lying to all of us for the last 12 months.
About what?
Whole family joined the Padstow trip for this one. I think he's just referencing the shows. Would you ever book Charlie Haas again?
No.
Silly question. David Bullock is correct. Puppeteer at the St. Mary's show. Was that cruised fan in the audience? Keys versus Robbie Eagles. Woo! That shit was lit.
It was a good match, yeah.
Yeah, that was your first show. It was also my third show, I believe.
Wow, Box always got to put himself over.
I'm the company guy. What can I say? For the last 10 minutes, let's talk about this Saturday night, live at the iconic Padstow RSL.
It's exciting, Box.
Christmas Carnage 2. Orlando Jordan, the heavyweight champion, will not be in attendance.
He's overseas.
He is.
He's doing Christmas overseas.
Yeah, I hope he's sitting there taking in the snow and the eggnog. That's what he said he was going to do to me. But yeah, so
I do feel like Orlando was offered a title defense on this show, and he goes, "Nah, I'm going, overseas."
Yeah, well, I asked him what his plans were, and he said, "See you later."
I think he's ducking challenges. You got to think the matches that he's won so far in All Star, he's done it via, bad, ill-intentioned means.
Aries says, Mitch, comment with the show with the Rumble at the end. Your favorite ever tour show.
No, that was my least favorite. Oh, he's being sarcastic.
Yes.
What did I think of the Rumble at the end? It was pretty cooked.
Yeah.
There's some funny videos of it, but I can't go into it.
Yeah, so this Saturday, headlined by a tournament to crown the number one contender.
Which includes the man in the comment section, Aries.
As well as a man highly talked about today, the Puppeteer. So the first round is Aries versus the Puppeteer.
Now, Box, you were there. Orlando just goes, chuck that guy in.
Yeah. But you never know. The Puppeteer might upset.
Of course. You can't underestimate him. He never would have got the thumbs up if he wasn't viewed as a valid contender in this tournament. So he could do it.
Watch out, Aries. You better watch out, Chief. Don't underestimate the Puppeteer. That green-haired goblin's coming for you, brother.
You never know, Box. Can you imagine Summer Spectacular 2023, Orlando Jordan versus the Puppeteer?
What a match!
And imagine how much the audience would love it.
I've been training for that. He says the teacup drop. It's the teapot drop, Chief. Puppeteer on the way to a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, see, it could be like a Christmas movie.
It could be. What I'm actually really excited for though, Keegan versus Jack Dullahan.
I said last week this is a dream match of mine.
Now I don't know how you can predict a winner for this one. Keegan Bradley, former All-Star champion. I think Keegan's almost the favorite in every match. Put him in. He's a great wrestler.
He seems like he's not the favorite in this one.
Yeah, because Jack Dullahan's been, well, we said earlier, he hasn't been pinned in almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So who's your pick for this one? I've been threatened with a chair to say Jack Dullahan. So yeah, Jack Dullahan's my pick, I think. Who's your pick to win the whole tournament?
It's such a difficult choice. Like you've got Aries who, he's kind of chomping at the bit to move on past his Eastern States title loss. You got the Puppeteer. He's unknown. There's an underdog story there for sure. Keegan, the former All-Star champion, he's been chasing that belt for, 2 years now almost. Yeah. And then Dullahan, he's got a lot to prove, undefeated. It could go anyway. I can't predict it at all.
Well, we also see Jasmine Brettle defending her women's title against an interstate challenger, Eugenie.
From Queensland. It's exciting.
It is. What else do we have on
She holds championship gold in Queensland as well, so it's champion versus champion. Of course,
take the All-Star belt with her back to Queensland.
She could. Yeah, if she beats Jazz, we would expect that. So it's a huge opportunity for Eugenie and hopefully for Jazz. Fingers crossed, because we love Jasmine here on the pod. Yes, another successful title defense for her.
Shout out to Jasmine Brettle. We also see Tony Cruz defending the Eastern States title
against a returning
favorite, Xander Sullivan.
Yes, he's back.
Yeah. Are you excited for Xander Sullivan?
I love Xander Sullivan. I said on the pod a lot of times, like, he would be back, just a matter of when. And the opportunity has come up, and he's back. He holds a victory over Tony Cruz.
I was going to say, Tony Cruz has suffered, I think, 2 losses since he returned to All-Star.
To B-Boy and Xander.
One of them was to Xander Sullivan.
So it could be a title change.
Could be.
On the first defense, imagine how humiliated Tony would be.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be able to show his face in public again.
Wouldn't go that far, but he'd certainly be upset.
He would be. What else have we got on the card? Oh, how could I forget? The tag team.
The huge tag team match, Box.
Yeah, but before we go into that one, that is the match I was talking about, but that just reminded me. Now, B-Boy and Caesar have
the other tag match.
Other tag match have been offered, they've signed the contract for a tag team title match against Morgan Rose and Otis.
Yep.
Now, Morgan Rose is currently in Japan.
No. I actually saw him on the match results for a show in Wollongong. So he's here.
He's here
now. Whether he turns up at Padstow, who knows? But he's now here, so he must have returned from Japan, last week.
Yeah. So Morgan Rose in Japan, or now returned from Japan.
Was in Japan.
And I guess he's trying his best not to show up this weekend.
I think he's going to show up, Box. I think it's mind games. I think Morgan Rose is going to be there, and I think there's going to be a tag team title match. Because even if Morgan Rose isn't there, it's going to be Otis versus B-Boy and Caesar.
And if Otis as well does not turn up, the titles are forfeited.
That's right. And some of the fans have already picked up a name for B-Boy and Caesar. They're going with Bizarre. You don't like it? I love it. Don't mock our fans, Box.
What fan came up with that?
Someone on the Facebook page. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's nice.
However,
Bizarre.
Arguably the most anticipated match on this card.
Yeah.
Hell Yeah and Wes Williams.
I thought you were going to say the appearance of Santa Claus.
Saving the best for last, Chief.
All right.
Wes Williams and Hell Yeah in a no holds barred grudge match against Johnny Starr and Mike Valuable to Believe.
Yeah, so big story behind this one, Box. You've been following it as our resident journalist.
I certainly have.
There was an attack in the car park.
There was.
And the Belief were on the scene. A lot of people seem to believe, not that it was you.
No, it was not me.
But that it was the Belief. Now, there's been no evidence of that.
No, well, the Belief were on the scene in their car.
They denied it.
They did deny it. And they did say that this Saturday, they said they know who did it.
Yeah.
And they said this Saturday night, they will reveal all.
Now, look, I can confirm, I personally believe it was the Belief. No proof, but I think it was the Belief, and I think most of the fans think that. But there's been heaps of suggestions that Aries was involved, Tony Cruz, Orlando Jordan himself. Dancing Dave has been picked as a potential suspect.
He would never.
The Puppeteer, Wes Williams, everyone.
Referee Nigel?
No, the slug hasn't got it in him. He's one of the few that hasn't been picked, but almost everybody has had a finger pointed their way. And the revelation this weekend, I think it could shock the wrestling world.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if it was Mitch?
No.
What if you attacked Hell Yeah?
How am I going to attack Hell Yeah? I'm just a wrestling promoter.
Maybe that's your mask you hide behind.
Maybe.
I need to do some investigating.
I was not involved. We can confirm.
Take
Maybe it was you, Box.
Oh, I would never.
You were there.
I was reporting.
I wasn't on the scene.
Yeah, because you had fled the scene after you attacked Hellier.
Well,
Anyway.
I saw on video. I saw you on the scene. I'd put you before me.
I only arrived on the scene after he was attacked.
That's what you say, Chief.
Anyway, then at the Collecticon, in the locker room, Wes Williams was attacked, and the belief that flag was left behind.
Yeah, now everyone seems to believe that one was Johnny Starr because they had that altercation before.
Yeah.
And it was quite heated. You were there. You got involved. You broke it up.
I did.
And some others as well. Dancing Dave, Matt Rowley. So I think Wes was attacked by Johnny Starr, but I don't know who was attacked in the car park or who did the attack in the car park.
Yeah.
No idea. I guess we'll find out. That is if the belief are telling the truth.
Yeah. And lastly, this Saturday night.
Fuck, I know.
Looking for his revenge from last year.
Well, not necessarily looking for revenge. He might just be there to spread Christmas cheer.
Maybe. But the one and only. One of the most iconic figures in the world.
It's only fitting that an iconic figure is at the iconic Padstow RSL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm that Santa Claus will be in attendance this Saturday.
Santa Claus will be in town.
In
Santa
town.
Claus is coming to town. Da, 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 da. You know that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sing
And-
it, Box. Sing it.
I'm not singing it. And not only will Santa Claus be in town, he will be at the iconic Padstow RSL Club,
Mhm.
live and in living color, handing out some presents.
Do I smell hot chips?
I do. Maybe it's time to wrap it up.
If there's hot chips, I'm keen.
For hot chips or to wrap it up?
No, I'm keen for hot chips, but let's keep it going.
Well, we did an hour and a half, Chief.
It's all right. There's a bunch of comments. So plug the show as well. This Saturday night at the iconic Padstow RSL Club, Christmas Carnage 2. Tickets available at www.allstarwrestlingaustralia.com.au or at the door on the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Yeah, this Saturday night, be there, see Santa Claus.
And a bunch of good wrestling.
And a bunch of great wrestling.
Yeah, let's not undersell it. A bunch of great wrestling.
Yeah. Fantastic. Wonderful.
Now let's get through these comments,
Stupendous.
Box.
Fantabulous. The zoo, which we call him, says Aries fast. He can dodge the teacup drop. So they've renamed it the teacup drop now. It's not the teapot drop anymore.
Certainly the teapot drop.
Someone says Puppeteer looks like the Grinch.
He does a little bit.
We have a photo of the Puppeteer with the Grinch.
We're going to post that on the socials, I
will.
think.
David Bullock says, no matter who wins the tournament, the fans will be winners. It's going to be epic.
Yep.
The Content Cat says, cool podcast. The zoo, which we call home. Time Machine storyline. Puppeteer goes back in time, dominates, and gets a Fly Guy puppet before Fly Guy becomes a thing.
Don't like it.
No, neither do I. The Content Cat says, maybe it was Vinny Vane.
Possibly. Who knows?
David Bullock says, looking forward to Saturday night. Going to be another top night at the iconic Padstow RSL Club. Yes, it is.
We're excited to see all the fans. You know, it's going to be a big one.
I can't wait. It's going to be a great show. What a way to end the year.
What a way.
Are you excited, Jeremy Kopp? Barry, are you excited, Mitch?
I am.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
I'm excited for every All-Star show, no matter which one it is. You know, I love seeing the fans, love seeing the wrestlers, love getting out there and building this All-Star thing with everyone. You know, it's
good guy, Mitch.
It's a team effort with everyone, even you, Box.
You love stop it.
You, the fans, Jeremy Kopp.
Here we go. Now, the zoo, which we call home, says Vinny Vane attacked Wes Williams. He would do that.
I guess we'll find out on Saturday, won't we?
I guess we will. I think let's wrap it up there, Chief.
Let's wrap it up. You want to do an abrupt ending? Or you want to plug the sponsors?
No, I want to plug some stuff.
All right, plug away, Chief.
So, yeah, this Saturday night, grab your tickets at www.allstarwrestlingaustralia.com.au, as a special man over here said. Next week, we talk about 2023, which we mentioned earlier. We are sponsored by Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance and Bulldog Glass and Property Maintenance only. And we will have our banner back up next week, I promise.
Will we actually, though?
Yeah, I'll fish it out. Shout out to the Puppeteer, of course. And we'll see you next week.
What about Deepak?
Shout out to Deepak. And, of course, shout out to Jasmine Brettle, the best human being to ever live.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Mitch on